Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Arthada, how is your throat today?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so
Hariom.
please start.
Shall I start?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, of course.
How's your throat
Okay.
today, sir?
Om Geetam Bhagavata Narayanino Shayam Vaishnagrothitam Puranumunina Matti Mahabharatam Advaitamitapurshinim Astadashadhayinim Amba Tvamanushandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadeshinim Namastute Vaisha Vishal Buddhe Pullar Bindayat Patra Nitra Enotaya Bharata Taila Purna Prajalito Ganamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijatayo Tatra Vetraikopanai Ganamudraya Krishnaya Gitamritudhe Namaha Sarvapanishad Gavadokta Gopalanandanaha Parthavatshasudhir Bhakta Duktam Gitamritam Mahat Vasudeva Shutam Devang Kangsha Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum Bhishmadrona Tata Jayodratha Jala Gandhar Nilotpala Shalagrahvita Kripin Bahani Karneno Belakula Ashatham Vikarna Ghor Makara Duryodhana Bhurtini Shattiri Nakulu Prapandavoirana Nadi Kaivartaka Kesavaha Parashariya Vachashariyam Malam Gitartha Gandho Dukatam Nanakkanakesharam Harikatha Shambhuthunabhuchitam Loke Sajjana Shatpadiraho Raho Pepiyomanam Muda Bhuvad Bharata Pankajam Kulimalo Vrittam Shinasri Ashi Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pungam Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Paramananda Madhavam Yang Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Stunnanti Dipvaistavaihi Vedaishanga Padakrama Upanishadar Gayanti Yang Shamugaha Dhanabhustita Tadgatena Manasha Pashanti Yang Yogino Yashantang Nabidu Shurashurgana Vivayo Tashmai Namaha.
Thank you, Parthada. 80% of the people in Bengal are Samavedis. So, and Sama is songs. So, Parthada's version of the Gita Dhyana shlokas are he doesn't recite them; he sings them. It's a reflection of his Vedic tradition, which is Samaveda. So that is how I always love this. It's because it's so different from what we normally do with the Yajurveda staccato Anushtup Chandaha or Indrakshi Chandaha, tuck, 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 tuck. This is a very different take on the entire thing. So thank you, Parthada. So let us start. And we'll go a little fast today and end chapter 11. so that we can get into doing our quiz session in the next week. So here goes. Chapter 11, verse 51 is where we will start. Arjuna Uvacha, Arjuna Uvacha, Drishtvedam Manusham Rupam, Drishtvedam Manusham Rupam, Tava Saumyam Janardana, Tava Saumyam Janardana, Drishtvedam Manusham Rupam, Tava Saumyam Janardana, Idanimasmi Samvritaha, Idanimasmi Samvritaha, Sachetah Prakritim Gataha, सचेता प्रकृतिं गतः इदानीमस्मि संवृतः सचेतः प्रकृतिं गतः अर्जुन उवाच दृष्ट्वेदं मानुषं रूपं तव सौम्यं जनार्दन इदानीमस्मि संवृतः सचेतः प्रकृतिं गतः Arjuna uvacha, Arjun said, Drishtva, seeing idam, this, manusham, human rupam. So here there is a clear indication that it is not a four-handed form. Human beings don't have four hands. So he is very clearly indicating that it is the human form of Krishna that he is seeing. Drishtvedam manusham rupam, human form. Tava, your saumyam, gentle, janardana. Jana, Ari, Mardana is Janardana. Ari means Shatru. Mardana means he who kills. Jana means general people, general public. Janardana, he who takes care of his people. Now, one of the examples that we have of him taking care of his people is where he took on the epithet of being a coward. Anybody remembers the story? He was called a coward. करेक्ट रणछोड़ रणछोड़ दास नहीं रणछोड़ उसका दास तो हम लोग बन सकते हैं तो रणछोड़ he ran away from the run means the battlefield 17 times he was attacked by Jarasandha 17 times he defended he didn't kill Jarasandha he defended the city of Mathura post that on the 18th time when his spies came and told him that we are going to be attacked again he said it is better for the people to remove themselves from here, and therefore they all migrated to the city of Dwarka. We were an island, and then they built an entire city over there. We will then add all the beautiful exaggerations that we normally add. Mayadana came overnight, he created a nice city. It had golden pillars and silver staircases. All that can true or false, doesn't matter. The reality is that he moved away. And people said, I mean, his enemies, they said, ye to ranchhod hai, coward hai. A beautiful example of leadership. Leadership is where you are ready to take on a personal allegation because for the greater good. And you know that allegation is not true. It doesn't matter for you, right? He is man apamana tita. And therefore you take on. So leaders, as I've always said, Bhagavad Gita is not only a spiritual book, it's a book of life. So when you're studying from here, look at how we can lead our lives. And we all, in our own cases, whether it is for our small children, whether it is for somebody else, somebody is always looking up to you. How are you portraying yourself there is a beautiful example of leadership here. So he says, Janardana, Saumyam Janardana, Idanim, now, Asmi, I am, Sambritaha, composed. My vritti have become very calm. My vrittis have become calm. Samyak rupena vrittihi samvritaha. So samvritaha, sachetaha, in my mind, prakritim, to normality, gataha have become. I have come back to my normal state. I have come back to my normal state. What is the normal state? The normal state, he started with an extreme abnormal state. He came to a point where he started asking questions. Then he became another abnormality, a different type of abnormality, where he was actually feeling awe, fear, wonder, all of that together. And now he's come back to his normal state. His mind seems to have become calm. His mind seems to have become composed. So he's saying that is the reason. So here he's saying very clearly, so uh, see, the uh, he reconfirms his identity here. This is the very important thing. And Arjuna's sentiment of Sakhya is reinforced. So again, Arjuna has become a Sakha. So let us move on. So then Bhagwan has to say something because he has left it over there and saying, oh, okay, now I am calm and composed. So Bhagwan now says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Sudurdarsham Rupam, Sudurdarsham Rupam, Drishtvanasi Yanmama, Drishtavanasi Yanmama, Sudurdarshitam Rupam, Sudurdisham, Sudurdrisham Rupam, Idam Rupam, Drishtavanasi Yanmama. It's easier if I close my eyes and start reciting. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Sudurdarsham Rupam, Drishtavanasi Yanmama, Deva Apyasya Rupasya, Deva Apyasya Rupasya, Nityam Darshana Kankshinaha, Nityam Darshana Kankshinaha, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Sudurdarshidam Rupam, Drishtavanasi Yanmama, Deva Apyasya Rupasya, Nityam Darshana Kankshinaha. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Sri Bhagavan said, Sudurdarsham. Durdarsham means difficult. Sudurdarsham means double addition of what is it called in English? Good, better, best. वो क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Superlative case. So superlative case. When you add that superlative case, Sudurdarsham. Durdarsham, more difficult. Sudurdarsham, extremely difficult. Sudurdarsham, extremely difficult. Difficult for what? Sudu means extremely difficult. Darsham means to look at, to find, to see. Idam, this. Rupam, form. Drishtavan asi, that you are seeing. Drishtavan asi. Now here is a play. We have to understand this play here. See, because of this Drishtavanasi, there are interpretations that have happened, and according to grammar, Drishtavanasi can be interpreted in both as that you have seen or that you are seeing. That you have seen or that you are seeing. Now, if I take the that you are seeing, then what is he seeing right now? He is seeing the two-handed form of Krishna. And therefore, from here originates the form that Krishna is the most supreme form whose projection is Parabrahman, whose projection is the Vishwarupa, which is the ISKCON or the Dvaita Achintya Bheda Bhed school of thinking. Right? But now, if I take the other meaning, that you have seen will mean that he saw the Vishwarupa. Right? Now, in consistency with what we have been studying, and therefore I will not change the meaning will be Drishtavanasi means jo humne dekha tha, tumne dekha tha. Drishtavanasi, that you have seen, yet, which, mama, of mine, deva api, even devas, asya, this, rupasya, form, nityam, eternally, all the time, darshana kankshinaha, darshana akankshinaha, darshana kankshinaha, darshana kankshinaha. They are all the time wanting to see, aspiring to see. So what you saw was not easy. What you saw was something that requires a lot of things to happen for you to be able to see this. It's a lot of serendipity that will happen, a lot of concatenation of things that will happen. Only then you will be able to see this. So that's why he's saying Sudur Darshamidam. Then he moves on to say, Naham Vederna Tapasa, Naham Vederna Tapasa, Nadanena Nachejaya, Nadanena Danena Nachejaya, Naham Vederna Tapasa, Nadanena Nachejaya, Shakya eva vidho drashtum, Shakya evam vidho drashtum drashtavanasi mam yatha drashtavanasi mam yatha naham ved Shakya eva vidho drashtum drashtavanasi mam yatha naham vedirna tapasa nadane na cha chejyaya Shakya eva vidho drashtum drashtavanasi mam yatha Naham, na aham, not by, na, so naham, na aham, vedehi, by the study of the Vedas. Na, again, never or not, by tapasa, by, by tapasya. Na danena, neither by charity. Na cha, nor also, ijjaya, by worship. Ijate, we have seen the word ijate earlier. Ijate means to be worshipping through yagya or through any other method. Ijaya. Shakya, possible. Evam vidhaha, like this. Drashtum, to see. Drashtavan, seeing. Asi, you are. Mam, me. Yatha, as. Again, here the word drishtavan, present continuous or past perfect. So, drishtavan, as you saw. As you saw. For our purposes, we will use the word as you saw because otherwise it is contextually completely out of context. Suddenly the form becomes important. Whereas right through, if you have seen from chapter 7 onwards, we have seen that Krishna has been denying the importance of the physical form, not in terms of saying it does not exist, but he says that that is not what is that is only a projection. I'll come back to this. If I start on reflected consciousness, I'll get stuck here and we'll not finish. So I will come back here. Please remind me to come back to this and talk about reflected consciousness. So what is he saying? Let us say again. Sudarshitam idam drishtavanasi yan mama deva apyasya rupasya nityam darshana kamshinaha. The rupa that you saw, that rupa, it is not attainable through Veda, Tapasa, Dana, Ijjaya. The question then arises, has he said this before? Anybody remembers? Has he said this before? In chapter 10 and 11, he has said this, right? Both in chapters, he has talked about the fact that this, what you are getting here, is not attainable. Now, why is he saying that? So then why should I study the Vedas? Why should I do worship? Why should I do tapasya? Because these are cleansing. Right? We have used the earlier upama that Krishna has given, where he says that just as exactly a small puff of wind removes the smoke and shows the fire, or just as exactly as you take a cloth and you clean the mirror, or you wait for the natural development of the fetus and for it to be delivered, similarly, effort will be required for that reflection to come back and be seen. Clear? We have seen that earlier. So that depending upon our own nature, whether we are very extremely sattvic, by predominantly sattvic, small puff of wind is required. If we are extremely rajasic, dynamic, all the time in motion, then some more effort is required. If we are in tamas, then we will have to wait till that tamasic tendencies are getting destroyed through. So it is the strength of our vasanas, and which only can be removed through all the things that he is talking about right now. Veda, tapasa, ijanam, all of these are necessary as long as they are meant for cleansing ourselves. But will this give me the darshan of the Parabrahman? No, it will not. For that, you have to take that jump. For that, you have to take that jump. So again, I use the example of the pole vaulter. The pole vaulter comes, runs, he jumps so high. You cannot jump so high without that pole, can you? The normal high jump, कितना होता है? 2 meter, 3 meter? I don't know, 3 meter is too much. 2 point, what is the world record on normal Olympic world record on high jumps, not pole vault? 2.5 meters or something around that, can't be more, right? Otherwise then you should go to DC Comics and become one of the superheroes there. So then 2.5 meters. What is the normal record for pole vaulter? 3 times that much, 4 times that much. Why? Because a pole is used. Because a pole is used. But if he tries to hold on to the pole while he has reached the peak of his arc, what will happen? He will fall back on the same side. Normal standard physics, motion of physics, it will pull you back on the same side. If you are holding on to saying, oh, this is my Vedic knowledge, this is my tapasya, this is my puja, I have done this, I have done that. Oh, unfortunately, that poor little eye has come into the picture, and now you are going to fall onto the same side. Luckily, because you did all that, there is a mattress, it will hold you back, right? It will not crash and fall. Somebody may remove the mattress also. Then you'll have a lot of other things to pick up from the floor. So, what is important here is very clearly Krishna is saying, all the things that you think are going to give me the darshan of the Parabrahman, that will not give it to you, but they are necessary, is a very clear indication from here itself. Second last shloka in this particular chapter. And now he introduces the entire 12th chapter here in the last two verses. Bhaktya tvananya shakya ahamevam vidhorjuna bhaktya tvananyaya shakya ahamevam vidhorjuna jnatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa jnatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa bhaktya tvananyaya shakya ahamevam vidhorjuna jnatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. Bhaktya, by devotion, to alone, ananya. Tvananya, ananyaya means here to ananyaya, unalloyed, without any other thing, single focused, only, right? Those are the meanings. Bhaktya tu ananyaya shakyaha, sakta hai, sakna, right? Is possible. Aham, I, evam vidha, like this. Arjuna, jnatum, to be known, drashtum, to be seen, cha tatvena, truly, praveshtum, to enter into me, to have union into me, cha, and parantapa. Parantapa is he who is always victorious, he who burns his enemies, he who burns his enemies. So here again, Krishna talks of the types of moksha. Types of moksha, according to the Dvaita school, we have 4 types of moksha, right? And I use the example of marriage. So in a normal Hindu marriage, the girl comes into the husband's house. So Salokya comes and lives in the same house. You go to Vaikuntha and you live over there. Salokya. Then you share the same room, right? Same room. So you live together. Closeness, physical closeness. Samipya. So you are all the time near Sheshnag. Then after that, you get sarupya. You start behaving the same way, right? Your mannerisms become similar. People say people they start looking like their dogs, or their dogs start looking like them. Human beings are obviously going to start following each other's characteristics and behavior quite a lot of times. We see that in our own house, right? Both sarupya and sarshti is very prevalent. So Siddesh, who most of you know, he quite often gets confused when he's talking to his mother or he's talking to me. So because he would have said half a particular thing about some project that he's working, and then he would have got disturbed with a phone call or something, he would have finished, and then he tries to complete that with his mother. And his mother would be completely at a loss as to what is happening, and then she would have to point out and say, look, I'm your mother, that's your father, and we are different people. Sarupya, sarshti. Sarshti meaning having the same powers. Dvaita stops here. Vishishta Dvaita goes one step further and says, oh, no. You have to have sayujya. You merge into that. Right? Advaita says, sorry, there is nothing called moksha. Moksha cannot be a separated identity because you are already free. This is like saying, oh, you are in, I am going to tell Sudhir this. No, I am going to take you to Boston right now. And he's going to immediately say, then I think Kaviranda has become mad. I'm already in Boston. How can he take me there? No, I can take you there if you think you are not in Boston. And I can make you realize, oh, look, you are in Boston. Right. Then I can say, yes, yes, yes. Now that is possible. So that is what has happened with us. That is the difference. If you look at the difference in terms of the three schools of thinking, Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, and Advaita, clearly these are the three beautiful distinctions. Right? Here, therefore, Gurudev explains Pravishtum as in that, with that beautiful saying from the Upanishads, Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. Brahman becomes, the study of Brahman makes you into Brahman. Right, in the last session itself, just before this, I was talking exactly of this. That the study of engineering, right, the studying of engineering has not made you into a bridge, right, has not made you into a whatever, chemical engineering. It has not made you into a chemical. Study of medicine has not made somebody into a into medicine. It has made that person a doctor. Right? Study of accountancy has not made Parthoda or me into accountancy. We have become a qualification called chartered accountancy, right? But by studying Brahman, what happens? You become Brahman. You transform. You cannot transform back. You can change, right? But you cannot transform back. So therefore, here says he says praveshtum. The word is used in Gurudev's words is used in the sense of becoming. You become Brahman. Praveshtum. And then we move to the last shloka of this particular chapter. Mat karma krin mat paramo. Mat karma krin mat paramo. Mad bhakta sangha varjitaha. Mad bhakta sangha varjitaha. Mad karma krin mat paramo. Mad bhakta sangha varjitaha. Nirvairah sarva bhuteshu. Nirvairah sarva bhuteshu. Yah samameti pandava. Yah samameti pandava. Nirvairah sarva bhuteshu. Yah samameti pandava. Mat karma krin mat paramo. Mad bhaktah masanga varjitaha. Nirvairah sarva bhuteshu. Yah samameti pandava. Mat karma krit. Doing duties for my sake. Now, Krishna is extremely consistent. And we will see that when we get to chapter 13, we will see very clearly how consistent he is. He has not deviated from his basic principles of saying karma is necessary. You cannot run away from karma. You cannot get away from the fact that as long as you have a body, mind, intellect, there is duty to be done. So now when you do your duty, how are you supposed to do your duty? You are supposed to do it with a specific mentality. That mentality, he explains much better in chapter number 12. So when he says, Mad Bhaktya, Mad Bhakta Sangha Varjitaha, in the earlier shloka, he very clearly said, by devotion to me, Bhaktya, by devotion. Now, what is the meaning of this devotion has to be understood. Devotion is not sitting and doing Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, not taking away anything from what the ISKCON people do. But I'm only saying that that is not the only definition of bhakti as defined by the Bhagavad Gita. Doing Nama Japa is very necessary. 100%. All my posts end with that, no? All my posts in the group keep on talking of saying, please go back and do your japa, 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 japa. That is the only thing that I keep, because that is the only thing that Gurudev pushed us to. And if I'm doing that, what is that necessary for? It is necessary again for the same thing, stilling my mind, controlling my ability to control my thoughts, the ability to sit calmly, to be in a position of chitta vritti nirodha, to be in the position of yoga. All of that is required. So how he will see in next chapter, how he defines yoga, how he defines bhakti, and how we are supposed to do. So here he says, mat karma krit, mat paramaha, considering me as the supreme. I am the supreme. Who is here? I. We have seen this earlier in earlier shlokas, where he says, I, it is not the Shanka Chakradhari, Pitambaradhari, right? Where Vaijanti Maladhari, beautiful form. Akarshana Karoti iti Krishna. That is that which attracts. Such a beautiful form. That form was so attractive that Shiva had to come down and take on the form of a woman to enter into seeing the Ras Leela. So he took on the form of a woman and to go to Nidhivan. And Lalita Sakhi stopped him. Right? It's a beautiful story. If you go to Vrindavan, there is the Samadhi of Haridas Thakur over there. Haridas Thakur is the person who found the images of Bihariji and Radhaji. And Radharani and Bihariji, he took the two images and he hugged them. They merged into one image. So when you go to Baki Bihari, you will see that one side of the image is worshipped, is decorated with a sari. The other side is the Pitambara Vastra, because they are Radha and Krishna in one image. And Bihariji was prakat kiya, or rather, mitti se nikala Haridas ji ne. And Haridas ji used to sing the songs of devotion all the time. He was the guru of Tansen. And those who have seen the movie of Baiju Bavra, you will remember the song Mana Tadapata Hari Darshana Ko Aaj. Beautiful song by Mohammad Rafi. In that, Haridas ji is shown. He is shown to have come out from his seclusion. He walks out. Right? So this Haridas ji, what happened is, in his previous birth, he was Lalita. Right, of the Sakhis of Radharani, Vishakha, Lalita. Lalita is very famous. So she was the guardian of Nidhivan. And in Nidhivan, she used to stand when the evening Ras would happen. And Shiva came and said, I want to come and see. So he said, only gopis can come. Men are not allowed. So Shiva got angry and he cursed Lalita that you will be born as a man in the next life. You will be born as a man. So Lalita then said, Shiva, now that you have cursed me to become a man, I have no problems with that. But at least let me retain the bhava of bhakti to my Lord. So he says, okay. So he was reborn as Haridas, Swami Haridas Thakur. So that is the supposedly history of Swami Haridas Thakur. So Haridas Thakur here, mad karma krin, mad paramaha, mad bhaktaha, right? Being devoted to me, sangha varjitaha. Has he talked about this earlier? So many times. Sangha varjitaha, freed from all attachment, nirvairaha, without any malice towards anyone. Sarva bhuteshu nirvairaha, towards all entities, nirvairaha. Yasamameti Pandava. This is the person who comes to me. Mam eti, to come to me. Such a person comes to me. So he again, if you look at this verse and analyze it in terms of chapter 2, not chapter 2, forget chapter 2, it's a very composite chapter. So look at it in terms of chapter 3, look at it in chapter 4, look at it in terms of chapter 7. All of these, he has not deviated from that particular consistency of the approach towards the divine. Let us end the chapter first with the Sankalpa Vakya, and then we will have question answers or any other we can go to. Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Geetasu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Sambhade Shri Vishwarupa Darshana Nama iti Ekadashodhyayah. Yes, please. Any doubts, questions? Quiz is on chapter 1 to 11, huh? Right from chapter 1 onwards. Yes, please.
Quiz?
There's a quiz next Sunday. Next Sunday, we are not starting chapter 12. It's a quiz. Padhai karke aao, bhaiya, Abhishek ji.
Will you share important questions?
Oh, yes. Paper bhi likh kar. No chanting required. No chanting. Okay. Yes, Partada.
Yeah, in shloka 55, Lord Krishna is saying, without hatred for any,
Without enmity,
But
hatred, enmity, whatever.
without
Nirvairaha.
enmity,
Yes.
whatever.
Hmm.
But at the same time, he has told him to go on fighting, kill them, and all
Very
that.
good, very good. Wait for chapter 13. Wait for chapter 13. He will answer this. He will answer this.
Acha,
Don't. I will not preempt. I will not preempt the answer. But in chapter 13, very
okay.
specifically, he has answered this. Right.
Okay.
Let me give you a different answer. Swami Vivekananda was told, what if a weak person is bullied by a strong person? What should the weak person do? Guess what was Swamiji's answer?
Fight
Anybody?
back.
He says, stand up and give him one
Yeah.
punch.
Yeah.
Stand up and give him one punch. Very clearly. No doubts in the mind. Right? It is not about what you do physically. It is about what happens in your mind when you are doing this. I have told you the story, Parthada, if you remember, the story of Suryakanta and Chandrachuda, the two kings. Right? And Chandrachuda was very aggressive, kept on going and trying to conquer all other kingdoms. Ultimately, he also attacked Suryakant. But Suryakant was very brave, very well organized, and a very brilliant tactician and a strategist. He ultimately, and they had Dvandva Yuddha, single combat. And in single combat, Chandrachud was defeated, swordless, lying on the ground. Suryakant's sword is lifted, about to cut off the head of Chandrachud. Chandrachud spat at him. And when the moment he spat at him, Suryakant took his sword, put it in his scabbard, and said, go and don't fight with me again. Chandrachud was flabbergasted. Came back to Suryakant later on, hands folded, and said, you had me at your mercy. Why didn't you kill me? And he said, at that time when you spat on me, my mind developed a hatred for you. I developed anger. So what was he doing? He was fighting for his country as a sense of duty. Doing your actions in the sense of duty is always what Krishna has been saying. So what is the duty of Arjuna as a Kshatriya? In the context of where he is right now, what is his duty? His duty is to stand up and fight against the evil that is formed in the form of Duryodhana, Dushasan, Karna, and that entire conglomeration of all those people. What is the mental attitude with which you are going into that fight? Are you going and saying, I am fighting my cousin? Or are you going in and saying, it is my duty to fight against evil in this world? I am fighting my cousin for my piece of land on which I will build my palace, in which I will then live very happily forever. Sorry, then in that case, don't do this. So action, and in chapter 18, chapter 17 and 18, we will see very clearly again how he distinguishes between sattvic karma, rajasic karma, tamasic karma. Actions in different forms. So what is the action? What is the mental attitude with which you are action? Action cannot be denied. He cannot get away from action. So thank you for asking this. We will go back to this in verse number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of chapter 13, where he starts with giving you practices. What are we supposed to do to be able to attain that particular state? Yes, sir. Any other question? Any other observation? Any thoughts?
सर अर्जुन को कृष्ण ने कहा कि मुझे भक्ति से ही मेरा ये स्वरूप जाना जा सकता है। तो क्या अर्जुन अनन्य भक्त थे कृष्ण के इससे पहले?
नहीं भक्त थे
प्रारंभ
ना।
में तो वो कंफ्यूज है और झगड़ा भी कर रहे हैं।
पिछली बार हम लोगों ने यही जो सवाल था, ये सुधीर जी ने भी पूछा कि ये अर्जुन को ये विशेष कृपा कैसे मिली। भक्ति नहीं थी, मगर एक पर्टिकुलर रिलेशनशिप उसने डेवलप किया था। उस रिलेशनशिप को हम लोग 9 तरह के रिलेशनशिप हो सकते हैं, राइट। 9 तरह के रिलेशनशिप के अंदर में क्या माना जाता है? जैसे वात्सल्य है, दास्य है, साख्य है। तो ये साख्य भाव था। और इस सखा भाव के कारण बोलते हैं ना कृष्णा, very clearly he says that because you are dear to me, I am showing you this. I'll give you a very simple example. We have a small Laddu Gopal in our house, and my grandfather used to do full seva to that. Right, full seva. So the seva used to start with getting up in the morning, and the tea that would, so anything that would be eaten in the house would be first offered to him. Doesn't matter if there were biscuits that came from outside or whether there was tea being made at home. They had a separate set of utensils, and tea would be given to him. He would be woken up, his teeth would be brushed, he would be bathed, he would be clothed, and the whole day he would actually be taken in a small basket and taken out for outing in the park. मेरे गोपाल का विहार हो रहा है, राइट? तो सैर करने जाते थे वो, रोज सुबह शाम सैर करने जाते थे। हम जाते कि नहीं मॉर्निंग वॉक, इवनिंग वॉक, तो उनका भी होता था। तो दादाजी को मैंने बोला था उनको कि दादाजी आप चले जाएंगे, उसके बाद इसकी सेवा कौन करेगा? एंड हिज आंसर वाज सो ब्यूटीफुल। ही सेड, तुमको क्या लगता है कि मैं इसकी सेवा करता हूं? उसको जिससे सेवा लेनी होगी वो उसको चुन लेगा। So that is what you are asking. Ki when does that kripa come to me? Oh, it will not come like that. You have to develop that relationship with that form to get to the formless. Without the form, the formless is impossible. It is impossible. At least, I mean, there are very few, very, very, very few individuals who have jumped to that stage, and that too would have happened because of what he has been told in chapter 6. चैप्टर 6 में क्या बोला था कि भाई रास्ते में यदि गिर गया तो वहीं से शुरू करेगा वो। So whether it is an Eckhart Tolle or whether it is a Raman Maharshi, they jumped to that formless oneness, possibly because of whatever happened in their past lives. But for you and me, the form first, hold on to that form, get to that form, and then from that form, take that jump. See, Thakur very clearly gives that as an example. ठाकुर क्या बोलते हैं? बोलते हैं वो तोतापुरी आए, तोतापुरी ने बैठाया, तोतापुरी ने बैठा के बोला कि अद्वैत का मतलब होता है देयर इज ओनली वन। सो ये क्या रोटी पकाता है? यू नो ही यूज्ड टू भजन करते थे तो रोटी पकाते हैं ना, यूएस नॉर्थ में रोटी कैसे बनाते हैं? बेलन बेलन नहीं यूज करते हैं, आटा को लेके हाथ से ऐसे 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 करके उसके बाद चूल्हे के ऊपर फेंक देते हैं। बोलते हैं क्या रोटी पकाते हो रोज रात की शाम को बैठ के ऐसे 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 करके? बैठो ध्यान पे बैठो। तो बोले ठीक है ध्यान पे बैठता हूँ। तो ध्यान पे बैठे 1 घंटा हो गया। 1 घंटे के बाद बोलते हैं मेरा ध्यान नहीं हो रहा है। तो जब भी मैं ध्यान में बैठ रहा हूँ तो माँ काली आती है, फिर मैं उसके गोदी में चढ़ जाता हूँ, फिर उनको मैं आई फीड हर एंड देन आई शी फीड्स मी एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट स्टार्ट्स हैपनिंग। सो ही टुक अ पीस ऑफ ग्लास एंड ही प्रेस्ड इट हियर, यहां लगाया, उसको काटा नहीं, ऐसे लगाया, यहां लगा ध्यान, एंड फॉर 3 days ही वैनिश्ड। 3 days कुटीर के अंदर में there was no movement, there was no sound, there was no nothing was happening. Totapuri got scared. He broke open the door and he went inside and he saw that this chap was in samadhi. And Totapuri says, it took me years of sadhana to even get a glimpse of what this man has done, and this guy got it in 1 hour. He just went there. वो अलग चीज है कि वो अवतार पुरुष थे। Then he answers. We came back, and then he answers when he talks about this particular experience. He talks about this in this exact words. उनका मैं repeat कर रहा हूँ। I sundered, cleaved her, cut her into 2 parts. I sundered her form with her own sword of discrimination. And then there were waves of golden light. There were golden waves of Ananda. And then there was no me. I merged into that ocean. तो वो फॉर्म, ठाकुर के जैसा व्यक्ति भी फॉर्म के अंदर माध्यम से ही, बट बाहर हम यदि बाहर की ओर को के अंदर में फंस जाएंगे, if he gets trapped in that and say that oh this form and no other form, then yeah, खत्म, story is over. This form and no other form, then the story ends. Each one of us will have our own form that we will find and we'll say, oh, I'm in love with this particular form. But then you have to go beyond that form. So the story with Namdev also, last time also I talked about this story. Namdev को ये पका हुआ है, कच्चा है, कच्चा है। जब तक वो सर्वम ब्रह्ममयम जगत की दृष्टि नहीं आती है, तब तक वो रूप के अंदर में भी मैं ब्रह्मन को नहीं देख रहा हूं, मैं किसी एक फॉर्म को देख रहा हूं. यस रघु जी.
So I'm going to find fault with a couple of things that he said. Okay. And that is that, see, we know Ramana Maharshi crossed over at a very young age, as did so many others. Okay. Maybe Eckhart Tolle also. And because we know they crossed over, we said they must have already done so many.
I didn't say must have. I didn't say must have. Sorry. I didn't say must have. Since you are going to find fault, let me also point out, I said might have. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So the thing is this. I think maybe we have 6 people, 7 people on the screen. Maybe all of us are just there at the threshold. We don't know. Once we cross, we know, but we don't know. And there's a nice poem that you would say about the person who gave up the race at the last corner, thinking the goal is too far away, when actually it was just around the corner. Okay, so I think, and this is the message that Krishna has right from the first chapter been saying, is we just have to do. We have to just do our sadhana. We have to do a thing. We must always think the goal is just around the corner, and we should. And who knows? We will all be there, right? So this is. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to say that. I don't like to say that. Oh, we need so many more lives. Maybe we need so many more lives, but that is not of relevance. Is what I'm saying. Our sadhana has to be constant.
That there is no doubt. Your sadhana has to be constant. Not only has your sadhana got to be constant, even after you believe that you have attained, you have to continue the sadhana. Right? This is my question to my personal question to Acharya Rajneesh. He was not Osho or Bhagwan Rajneesh yet. He used to call himself Acharya Rajneesh at that time. And I had, some of you know the story, I had bumped into him in a train. And one of the things I had asked him was, how long do you need to do sadhana? And his answer was, which floor, where do you live? So I said, at that time I was living in Calcutta. So I was living in Calcutta. So which floor are you on? So it's the 3rd floor. How do you get water? From the overhead tank. How does water reach the overhead tank? The overhead tank, it is pumped up. And what will happen if the pumping stops? So the water will dry up. I think I have answered your question. It doesn't matter what is the size of your overhead tank. If your overhead tank is very big, there will be water in your tap for some more time. If your overhead tank is small, it will be there for very little time. But if you stop pumping, there will be no water in the overhead tank. So when do you stop pumping? No, you don't. Full stop. Question doesn't arise, right? Why would somebody like Ramana Maharshi write the Upadesha Sara? Why would he go on Girivalam? Why would he write the 40 stotras of devotion on Arunachala? Right? Why would he do that? Because the sadhana is continuous. It doesn't matter. Because the body, mind, intellect are so powerful that they can catch hold of you anytime. So the sadhana is continuously required. Anything else? Otherwise, we will close.
Reflective consciousness.
Okay. So reflected consciousness. See, a lot of us, you see, when you sit down into doing vichara and you see that I am the mind, I am the mind. That time you are identifying, or rather, you're not thinking. You are operating from the mind. You haven't dissociated from the mind yet. Intellectually, dissociating from the body is very easy. It's a very easy thing to do. Intellectually, not physically, not in reality. Reality में body से dissociate करना सबसे difficult है. Mind से dissociate करना बहुत easy है. सो जाओ. Go to sleep. You will dissociate from your mind. You will not dissociate from your body because your body gets a prick. Immediately you will jump and wake up. Right? One bed bug will come and bite you, you will jump off. That bed bug is so small. It doesn't matter. So, identifying with the body, and therefore, what Raghuji you are studying, Aparokshanubhati, there's so much stress on what the body does. Why? Because identifying, realizing that I am not the body, intellectually understanding that I am not the body is very simple. Every day you get into the mirror, you start shaving, you know that something new has gone, something is being taken off. Very intellectual understanding. Can you realize that I am not the body? Very difficult to do. What happens is, when you start this process, you come to a point where you know that I am not, you realize that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. That which is still saying that I am not the body, mind, and intellect is not actual consciousness, but what is called the Chidabhasa, the reflection of consciousness. And what is the relationship between that reflection and you? What is the relationship? Nothing. Nothing. What is the relationship between when you stand in front of a mirror and you see your own reflection? What is the relationship between the reflection and you? We believe that reflection to be me. What is the actual relationship? The existence of light. Without that light, that reflection cannot exist. Correct?
Mhm. Exactly
Exactly the same way. Even the ego can exist only when the consciousness, existence consciousness, witness consciousness is available for it to give it that motion. So that without that, the ego consciousness that we operate from, this is the nearest stage that you can reach in a aware state. In an aware state, as in aware as in the normal word of use of awareness. I'm not talking of conscious awareness and whatever. So in that aware state, the nearest point that you can reach where you are still aware of the fact that you are operating is what we call operating from Chidabhasa, operating from that reflected consciousness. This is what Thakur used to be in, where he called it Bhava Mukha, to operate from Bhava Mukha, to be in that threshold of operation, knowing that you can step over. Now, most of us are at that threshold without knowing that we can step over, so we get stuck over there. So, therefore, what do you need to do? Oh, so you come back again. Japa, 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 japa. That is my answer to everything.
So
Yes.
I had asked this question yesterday. Why does he list Mula Bandha as one of the steps? Okay, I can understand asana, I can understand desha, I can understand. What is Mula Bandha doing there?
I've been missing the Aparokshanubhati classes. We'll do that when we are doing that Aparokshanubhati. We'll talk about it over there. Because that will require a bit of more explanation. Right. Let's stop. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.